This is Andy. And this is Andy's 1.2 Vauxhall Corsa B. Okay, so Andy's acting isn't amazing, and his taste in cars isn't helping his case either. But after picking up this 90s boy racer-mobile, he decided to clean it up and throw a few mods on it. But honestly, why a Vauxhall Corsa?
I had a purple Corsa Sport back in the day, had it for a few years and there was always something going wrong with it, so never really modified it like I wanted to. Basically when it came to buying this one, I wanted a white one to match my Nova, but couldn't find one, so second to that I wanted a weird colour one. And this came up in London, so took a chance on it and bought it blind.
Now, when Andy says he never got to modify the car the way that he wanted to, he's referring to the early days of car modding, the Max Power era. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a glorious era of car culture where subtlety went to die. People were bolting on body kits big enough to need planning permission, painting their cars colours that could blind a small town, and fitting exhaust the size of kitchen bins. Practicality rarely entered the conversation. Weekends were spent in driveways trying to make any car look like a show car, with varying levels of success. It was loud, it was chaotic, and honestly, it was brilliant. And leading the charge was this car. The very same one that featured on the first ever cover of Max Power magazine back in May 1993. And while we're not taking Andy's Corsa quite this far, the goal is simple. Get it to a point where the nostalgia really starts to flow. So, it's already had some welding work done, the underside has been dry ice blasted, and now it's time for us to do what we do best, with a few added extras. Before any polishing could begin, we needed to remove nearly 30 years of built-up dirt. And just so we could get those satisfying shots, we went right back to basics. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight in with the jet wash and just see what comes off. This is going to be quite satisfying. Most of what you can see here is dirt that has built up from being sat for so long. The car was left on a driveway for the last few years, so the elements have really started to take their toll. There's also a couple of areas that aren't immediately obvious, but they needed to be addressed before we got started on making the paintwork shiny. Take these number plates off. Oh, look at that. Lovely. As well as the number plates, we also removed the roof rails and cleaned behind them. If you can still hear me, as you can see, Andy has just removed the trim there. So I'm going to try and do the same on this side. Why does it feel like this side's been tiger sealed in? There we go. It's not too bad, to be fair. It'll just make it easier to, one, to make sure everything's clean, and two, just to start getting polish on these. A quick blast out with the pressure washer got them looking so much better. I'm not so sure about the bonnet though. Once the majority of the loose dirt was off, it was time to go in with some strong degreaser. And after leaving that to sit for a couple of minutes, we then went over the top with some snow foam and let that dwell for another few minutes. While that was doing its thing, I started brushing out all of the crevices, including any rubber seals. Years of dirt and even mould builds up around these, causing them to eventually perish and let water in. And once that was done, it was time to start with the actual wash. In any other situation, we would use the 2-bucket method, but with the condition of this paintwork, it really wouldn't make any difference. Once the car was washed and rinsed off, it was time to start decontaminating. The first part of this stage is to spray the whole car down with an iron fallout remover. The purple lines that you can see are where the product has reacted with any ferrous metal contaminants, turning them into a water-soluble product. After that had been rinsed off, we could start claying. Right, so now the fun part. If you watched our Christmas special last year, you'll remember on the Maserati that we clayed it and I went through everything that claying is. I'm going to keep it kind of short on this one, but this bonnet is, if you can hear that in the microphone, it is very, very rough. And as you can see, it's where it's dried, it's gone very flat as well. So this is a clay mitt, not a clay bar, which again, I explained this in last year's video, so you can go back and watch that. But I'm going to clay half the bonnet and then I'll pull the mic back in and just rub the area that's been clayed and show you the difference. In fact, first things first. We'll put a bit of snow foam on there. Right, I'm just going to rinse down the bonnet. Now, many detailers know you should never use one of these, but for the purpose of this video and the fact it's going to get polished, I'm sure it won't hurt. I mean, you can hear it with the water blade, so if I go over, ignore the squeak. It's not going to not squeak now, is it? It's really rough. Yeah, that's not the best way to show you. So, can't there? No noise. I don't think I need to get the mic any closer to hear that. Yeah, so there's a big difference there. So, I'm going to go ahead and clay the other half of the bonnet and rinse it off, and then we're done for the wash stage. There are dedicated clay lubricants out there, but using a wheat mix of snow foam or shampoo is perfectly good enough and way more cost effective. After one last rinse down, we could dry it, and then it was time to call it a night. As you can see, this paint is extremely scratched and equally as faded. We'll be addressing this later in the video, but now it's time to get it lowered.
The next morning, Andy got to work fitting his freshly refurbished coilovers. Starting by jacking up the rear end and taking both wheels off, the rear suspension could be unbolted. Allowing the torsion bar to drop down, which, believe it or not, is the only thing keeping the springs in place. Once the new dampers were secured at the top, Andy used another jack to raise the rear beam and position the new springs. Then once everything lined up with the bolt holes, the lower mounts could be bolted up, locking everything back into place. When you know what you're doing, lowering a small car like this is literally a 5-minute job. After that, the rear wheels could go back on and the back end lowered down again. The front is slightly different as each side is independent, unlike the rear, but same as before, it's off with the front wheels. At the bottom of each strut, 2 bolts hold it to the hub, and once they've been removed, it's just a case of undoing the 2 10mm bolts on the top mount under the bonnet.
That's a big shot for
For a little car.
The other side follows the exact same process, and once that's done, the wheels can go back on, and voila, the job is complete.
The next day, it was time for us to get to work exfoliating that dead paint. To make it easier for us to polish, and because he had new ones to go on, Andy started by removing all 4 of the arch trims. And while Aaron began by doing a test patch on the roof, I made a start on the important things. No bad boy whip is complete without debadging. Debadging a car is something that's still really popular to this day. It's a quick and easy way of modifying your car and making it feel more customised. The safest and easiest way to begin is to cut through the glue with fishing wire or dental floss. And then we use the toffee wheel on a drill to remove the remaining glue.
Minty fresh. She's got plenty of life in her, this girl. So now we need to repeat this across all of this.
After doing this small section, it was immediately clear that the car had single stage paint, meaning that the colour and its protective clear coat are one combined paint. We were definitely in for a messier job than we anticipated, so any plastic trim that could be taken off easily enough was. The rear wiper spline definitely needed to come off, as well as the locking mechanism. Everything that we needed to get to was just behind this piece of interior trim, which was held in by a couple of screws and a few clips. With that out of the way, we could access the wiper motor and the boot lock, making our lives easier. Should have took that off before we washed it. With most of the black plastic trim out of the way, we got Andy to put the camera down and start masking up any rubber seals. This meant that myself and Aaron could crack on with the cutting and polishing. So as the saying goes, out with the old and in with the new, we had these new side repeaters to put on. So in true boy racer fashion, get rid of the orange ones, put a nice clear one on. So once I'd finished polishing the paint, these could be fitted. We've still got a big chunk of work to do on this car, so we really need to get moving.
It was fantastic.
Hold on. I bought a dog off a blacksmith. As soon as I got home, he made a bolt for the door. Sorry. Come on, that was funny. He made a bolt for the door because he's a blacksmith.
I get it. I get it. I got it the first time. Oh, God. Anyway.
Yeah, let's carry on.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to look at my socks?
So, while Aaron is working on the back of the car, finishing polishing, we're going to do something with these bumpers.
Plastic bumpers can turn grey over time because of sunlight and oxygen breaking down the surface oils and pigments. We call this oxidation.
Now, there's quite a bit that we can do with them. We could paint them, we could get new ones, or what we're going to do is dress them. So, we're going to use some degreaser and a magic eraser. We're going to clean them up, and then we're going to put a dye on them, which is like a semi-permanent dye, and that will basically get them looking kind of factory fresh again. So I'm going to do a little test patch on this corner. We'll pull the camera in, show you how it looks, and then we're going to let Andy behind the camera do the rest of them. Let's take a cleanish microfiber, dry it off. Just to make sure it's extra dry, I'm going to get the airline on it. Now, I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, but it's already kind of quite a lot better. Obviously, you've got the faded bit just here, and that's kind of refreshing plastic. But now for the fun part. If we take this solution finish, put some on a foam applicator. I did this the other day. You gotta give the bottle a shake. Otherwise it's like that bit in the top of tomato ketchup when you've not used it you've not used it for a while. Right, there we go. Just soak that in a little bit. Don't get it all over the floor like I just did. As you can see, that's changing colour already. Now once you put that on, if you take another microfiber and just buff off the excess, now this might need another coat or so, just to, because it's really old plastic, it might really absorb, kind of drink it up. But that is pretty good now for 6 months to a year, depending on how well you prep it. Obviously we've prepped it quite well using this, so it's got a good surface to bond to. But yeah, the bumpers they do look like they're drinking it a little bit, so we'll probably put some more on. But I'm gonna hand you over to Andy. He's gonna go around and do all the rest of them.
We worked in small sections to make sure the degreaser stayed wet on the plastic, giving us time to fully break down and remove all the embedded dirt. Once cleaned, the bumpers needed 2 coats of dressing because the dry porous plastic absorbed the first layer and only the second gave it the deep even finish that it deserved. Also, Andy had some new rubber to go on.
You didn't think we were going to leave it on standard wheels, did you? From 13 inch to 16 inch. Because size does matter.
And while the wheels were off again, Andy fitted some brand new wheel art trims.
We need bass.
What do you mean?
We need bass.
I don't get what you mean.
Bass.
What do you mean we need bass? Like music?
We need bass!
Anyway, no bad boy whip would be complete without some banging beats coming from your back end. Now, Andy is going to be fitting this with a 12-inch Kenwood subwoofer, which is pushing 500 watts RMS. Now, in car audio terms, that basically means it's enough to turn your boot into a small earthquake. So let's cut over to Andy, who's going to show us how to wire it in. The first thing that needed to be done was to take out the old stereo, ready to replace with the new Kenwood one. After checking which side of the car the battery was on, we knew which side to route the power cables and which side to run the audio cables. Keeping the two apart is essential, as running them too close together can introduce unwanted audio interference. Before the power lead could connect to the battery, we needed to insert a fuse just to stop the sub from blowing. Once that was done, we managed to find a hole in the bulkhead to push the power lead through. And to help get the wire to go through, we taped it to a screwdriver and then pushed it through the rubber grommet. Oh, you've pushed the rubber grommet out completely now. So after that not quite going to plan, we took the grommet out, giving us full access to feed the wire to the battery. and once both ends of the power lead were in the engine bay, the fuse could now join them together. Then the rest of the wire could be threaded through the car. We took the parcel shelf out so the rear seats could fold down easier, and then the very last bit could be fed through. Then with the other side, the process was almost the same, but instead of threading the RCA leads through the bulkhead, they connected to the back of the stereo, as well as the remote wire, which is what tells the sub to turn off when the car is off. Then the new stereo was loosely placed in the cage, and all of the wires in the boot could be connected to the sub. The earth wire needed to be attached to something that would ground it to the car, and in this case, we chose the rear light. Next on the list was to fit the door card speakers. So after removing the old ones and taking the new ones out of the box, we quickly realised that the frames that hold the speakers in place were completely the wrong shape. So in true car modifying spirit, Andy had the wise idea of cutting up the old speakers and using the old surrounds to hold the new speakers in place.
As long as I've got this lid, so all of this can just get cut out.
So, out came the pliers. And after a bit of precision cutting and double checking that the new speakers would fit, we just needed to neaten up the edges. Once the speaker was screwed into the frame, that could then be plugged in and go back into the door. Then, we just needed to repeat the same process on the other side. The last thing we needed to do was mount the fuse somewhere near to the battery. And after checking that everything was wired in correctly, we could then wire up the power cable and turn on the ignition. So, let's see what it sounds like.
The car, as you can see, is nicely polished, looks nice and shiny. Now, obviously, it's single-stage paint. So get a bit of UV on it again, so sunlight. I know we don't have loads, but there's still a lot of UV in the air. It's going to get to the paint and it's going to make it fade again. So we need to nourish the paint. We need to protect it, guys. So we're going to opt to wax it. Now, Andy's going to be driving this daily, so we want something a bit tougher on it. So we're going to go for Shield. It's a Teflon-based wax, so it's super tough, super durable. Our trick with this is, I don't know if you can see it actually, it's quite bitty. It doesn't seem like there's a lot left, but there's plenty in there. It feels almost sandy. Boop, cut. Not really, carry on. But yeah, anyway, we need to basically melt that in our hands. So I'm going to be taking my gloves off in a second, and I'll use the warmth of my hands. And then we can apply it to the paintwork. Very therapeutic business here.
Really softly.
Yeah, no, it's quite soft work though, isn't it? I'm basically going to be massaging the car. So, let's get to it. So, trick with this stuff is I scoop a little bit out. I'm going to scoop a little bit more than usual because I'm going to prime the foam pad first. I'm going to put that in my hand, like so. And then we're going to use some warmth That's it, it's nice and broken down now. So I'm gonna prime the foam pad. Now, usually you can obviously apply by hand, which you've probably seen detailers online do, and I would do, but unfortunately my hands are basically 240 grit, so we're not gonna do that. Gonna get to applying the wax. Now, a lot of people tend to put wax on super, super thick. Now, it never needs to be thick, because if you put it on thick, you're just making your life harder, because you're just having to remove more residue. You want it to get to the point where it's going on super, super thin. So it's just a very, very fine, what's the word I'm looking for? Layer? Yeah, a film. That's it. It's a very fine film on the surface. As you can see, I'm just working it in a nice circular motion, so it goes on a nice and even. There we go. That is literally half of the bonnet done. We're now going to finish the rest of the car. Right, so the car's waxed. It's been about 20 minutes, roughly. So what you've got to do now is the finger test. So basically, you swap your finger across. Now, if it smears, then the wax ain't ready to take off yet, or you put it on too thick. If it comes off nice and clean, like it has done there, it's ready to buff off. So, cloth, panel, buff. Really simple. And because I put it on nice and thin, it'll come off nice and easy. Right, that is the car waxed. Time for the B-roll. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been a bit different.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the new year.
Bye.
God bless.